right? You get what you put in is what you get out. I'm just here as like a guide, but I don't ever give advice because that's not therapy, right? But that's how I would approach it. So I can't necessarily say, oh, based off of your graph, you know, like I'm not, that's not how it works. But that's why, like I said, spaces like this is important so people have a more realistic understanding and expectation of what therapy is, you know?
Okay.
Just wanna see you on me. I just wanna see you on me. Put it on me, babe. Put it on me. Put it on me, babe. Put it on me.
Oh, that kind of started. That kind of ended kind of short. Like you really get the beat in there. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fupas Flapjacks Podcast. My name is Jay. That's
your boy Trey was popping.
And we are here on the Jay Derosier Media Network. And every week we are always joined by none other than the podcast Dr. Phil.
I have a fupa.
So I already know what you're thinking. You're like, damn, Jay got some big ass ears. Yes, we don't have no headphones anymore. It is what it is. Like we good. We chilling. But we are joined here by a special guest. We are joined here by therapist, public speaker, actress, model. None other than Miss Deja's in the building, y'all.
I need to hire you to kind of like when I have my talks, have you introduce me.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better at this thing. You know what I'm saying? Just baby steps. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
So, for those out there who don't know who she is, it's cool. We got her @ at the bottom of the screen. Please follow her. Like, comment, subscribe on the show as well. I'm going to let Trey introduce her a little bit more in depth before we introduce the topic for the week. Just because, Trey, you have a better relationship with her than I do.
Oh, I mean, me and Deja did a show together.
Okay.
We did a scene. So I met her through that and then stayed connected through that. I've seen her at different functions and everything, but she reached out to me to come on the show. And it's good. It's it's crazy. We've been getting a lot of like women who have reached out to us who want to be a part of the show, who want to be on this.
Yes, please continue.
And it's great because it's letting us know that we are creating that comfortable space for them to want to get on the show and have these discussions. So it's cool that we're doing something different. And I think that what she has to offer for this episode will be great.
I mean, also, it proves our point that you and I spoke about when we started this podcast, is that we're building the right community that we wanted to.
Yeah,
and that's,
for sure.
That's one thing you cannot pass up.
Exactly.
You ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
You ready to get into it?
Honestly, I didn't think this was going to happen.
Oh, for real?
Because we had a whole different guest that was supposed to be here.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And they canceled.
The scheduling
I was going to reach
conflicts.
out to her for the week after.
Yeah.
And they canceled, and so gracious for her to show up on like a last minute kind of reach out. But to talk about this specifically, I feel like this is going to be like
We're about to get
way too deep. But we about to get into it. So
before I even introduce the topic, I'm just let you guys know, me and Trey finna get read for filth this episode. It's gonna be funny though, and very enlightening for not only us, but for the fans as well. After this episode, once again, like I say at the end of every episode, Trey, what do I say? Don't slide in my DMs. After this episode, do not slide in my DMs. And this episode,
they're gonna keep sliding.
No, this episode's gonna prove why you should have slid in my DMs. I'm just gonna let you know off rip. Anyways, y'all, the topic for this week is none other than attachment types. For those who don't know, today we are diving into invisible forces that shape our love lives in most ways that most of us don't realize. Have you ever wondered why you seem to fall emotionally unavailable to people, or why you panic when some people get too close, or maybe why you're the one always texting first and overthinking every response? The wild thing is most of us have no idea that the system exists, yet it's dictated on our love lives like a puff. Sorry, I said puffy. I said puffy like he did. Puppet master. I do apologize. Puppet master. Today we are pulling back the curtain on these patterns. Whether you're secure, anxious, avoidant, or some complicated mix, we are showing how understanding your attachment style might differ for everybody and might be the game changer you need in developing a relationship. So, for this episode, instead of talking to the fans and having you guys letting us know what your attachment style is, me and Trey decided to take this test and quiz. We're going to also link the quiz in the description of this episode if you want to take it for yourself as well. Please do, so you can learn a little bit more about yourself and what makes you tick a little bit more. Please answer the questions open, honestly, and truthfully, because if you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? I'm going to let Trey go first, though. Woo! Reason I'm going to let Trey go first is I've been talking this whole episode. I'm going to let Trey go first. So, Trey, what was your attachment style that you got on the quiz?
You know what's crazy?
Wait. Hold on. I want to take this while y'all are doing the show.
I'm going to send it to you right now.
So please send it to me, please.
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you right now.
Okay. So I got the dismissive avoidant as my attachment style. So I'll read some things. You prefer to maintain an emotional distance from others. If someone does attempt to forge an intimate bond with you, you may pull away from the relationship. Displays of emotion, opening up to others, and expressing your feelings make you uncomfortable. When other people try to open up to you, you may minimize their emotional expressions. You may come across as aloof and distant to others. You dislike being dependent on others and see yourself as self-sufficient and independent. You may present a false persona to the world. And emotional intimacy, trust, and dependency on others are difficult concepts for you. You prefer to create personal boundaries and rely on yourself. Now, there is a graph here. I don't know if you can see it. I'll show it to the screen.
No, it's too bright.
No, it's too bright.
Yeah, you can't really see
You
it.
might have to do the YouTube hand.
Okay, so there on here, it pretty much like pin pads like where you are at with your anxiety or avoidance. And so majority of my avoidance and anxiety is insecure attachment. I only have one dot that's in dismissing attachment, and that's with the general people. So when it comes to like my mother and my father's connecting with them, they are in complete secure attachment. When it comes to a score partner with like a person that my significant other, I have like a anxiety of 2 or avoidance of 3, which means it's still putting me in a secure attachment. It's a big difference for me with general people, with people I don't know, just regular people. It's at dismissing attachment, which to me makes a lot of sense. So with people, I'm like,
Yeah, you hate people.
yeah,
You hate people.
yeah.
I still don't know how we're friends. To be honest with you, I don't know how we became friends. To be honest with you.
Well, we can tell the story, but I'm not gonna do that.
No.
Yeah.
We'll say that for another episode.
What do you think about that?
I think he should go first, and I can give you guys a little bit more
Okay.
deep dive into like where we get our attachment styles from.
Okay,
If you
cool.
would like to do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So I go?
Yeah, you go
Yeah.
now.
All right. This one's accurate. I ain't gonna lie to you. My attachment style is anxious / preoccupied. And pretty accurate. You may feel as though you're less than others. The low sense of self-esteem associated with the anxious attachment style often results in feelings of not being good enough. You self-sacrifice and put the needs of others first. This is often due to a lack of sense of self. That's a tongue twister. And your own needs. Due to an inconsistent formative period, you may feel as you're unworthy of love. Thus, you seek external validation and reassurance from others in an attempt to prove to yourself that you deserve love. You struggle with being single or alone for periods of time.
Yes.
I'm going to shoot you in the leg in this episode. Relationships and intimacy are strongly connected with an anxious attacher's feelings of self-worth. Therefore, you may crave attention and try to impress others in an attempt to get it. Trey, don't do that. Don't read me for the filth yet. You fear rejection and criticism, thus you may become highly upset at any form of disapproval from your partner. You are attentive to your loved ones almost to a fault. Others may end up taking advantage of your kind and generous nature. It's pretty accurate. Due to a lack of self-agency, you may struggle with making decisions and steady rely on a partner to do so. You may act clingy and needy towards your partner if they attempt to spend time with others outside of your relationship. What's more, you might experience intense feelings of jealousy and frustration if they do so. Oh, last one. You are hypervigilant towards others. To any threat of your relationship. Due to your fear of rejection and need for intimacy, you may overanalyze all of your partner's actions, but yet misinterpret fundamental problems in the relationship. That's pretty accurate. That just read me for the filth.
It's read me for the filth because I literally just minimized your emotional expression while you were going through your thing, just saying yes. I should have just been quiet and let you go through your thing.
Do y'all even need Deja here? I mean,
I'm gonna say, like, we're talking it out, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
that's crazy.
But you see how like being aware of that helps you to better connect with someone, to be able to meet their needs or even know what their needs are before they even think they know what their needs are.
Yeah.
Like that's
nah,
why
I ain't shit.
attachment
I'm
styles
always
are
gonna be ain't
important.
shit.
Oh, okay.
All right, let me stop joking now. This is a serious
No, you're
episode.
fine.
Let me stop joking around.
let's
Let me lock in. Let me lock in.
Take two.
Yeah.
So I do want to start this, right? And we were talking about this a little bit earlier about kind of why I wanted to come on here, like what it's like being a therapist. I will stress this. Therapy is one of those fields where people who do not have any experience, any degrees, any trainings, think that based off of their lived experiences, they know more. And I have the degrees. I have a master's in science for counseling. I have my own caseload of clients that I see. So I have the training, okay? And so when it comes to attachment styles, the way in which we form them all happens when we are babies. And how you develop them, it's something that you do. It's what your parents did when you were a baby and how you kind of watched them take care of you, if they were taking care of you, okay? So there are 4 attachment styles. There's secure, which is the one that typically want to have. You're able to, kind of like have a quick bounce back when things happen. You're able to express yourself in a healthy way. And if things don't go the way that we would like them to, you're able to kind of be okay with that, let it go, and continue on, right? The other 3 are not so secure because of the things that happened to us when we were babies. So when you develop a secure attachment, it's mostly because your parents were taking care of you as they were supposed to. They were attentive, but they also validated how you felt. So that is why you have that sort of comfortableness with your emotions to be able to express them out to people, right? So let's start with dismissive, right? Since you went first. A dismissive attachment style typically means that your parents were there, but maybe a little inconsistent, or maybe they validated how you felt, but were very just inconsistent with things, right? And so that's why we feel a little uncomfortable when people express how they feel, because maybe deep down we don't think it really matters. Like, why are you upset about this? Like, why are we having this conversation right now? It's really hard for them to kind of sit in those uncomfortable feelings because maybe they don't even know how to express it or even know what feelings they're having to begin with, right? So that's why you kind of have that when somebody wants to get super close to you, you're like, oh my God, like you're smothering me. Mm-hmm. Please, like, you got to stiff arm them, okay? So that's dismissive. An anxious attachment, which is also what I had before I've graduated to the secure, but an anxious attachment is also, again, rooted in that inconsistency of like them being there, them not being there. The way in which it becomes anxious is because when they're there, you get used to that. When they take it away, it's a shock to the system. And so you try to do something to make sure that they do the thing that you want them to do or like react in a good way. But you do that and then randomly it doesn't go the same way.
Right.
And so that's what causes that sort of like worry, because that's what anxiety is. It's a fear of the unknown. It's excessive worrying. So that's where within an anxious attachment, you do come off needy because you're constantly needing that reassurance, right? So think about it in this way. We have like object permanence. So basically, even though like say I have this ring, you guys all see my ring.
Yep.
If I cover my hand, does that mean that the ring is just like disappeared? No, it's still there. Emotions work that way too. So even though somebody may not be saying explicitly that they love you or they're not showing it, doesn't mean that they love you any less. And sometimes it's hard for people who are anxiously attached to understand that. And so that's kind of where that sort of like worry of like questioning everything, questioning if you love me and this and that comes from. And a lot of times it's because we do not feel comfortable with how we feel because we were never validated by our parents, okay? And then the last one is what we call the fearful avoidant, or you'll also hear it called disorganized. A lot of people who have experienced a lot of like severe childhood trauma, that's the one they typically go for because they kind of took a little bit of all of them. Like not the secure though. Just gonna leave that out.
Yeah.
But they just fear, like they want to get close to someone, but they're just scared that like something's gonna happen to them. So because they're scared, maybe their defense mechanism is like anger and rage, or like it's just not being able to really manage how you feel. Okay. So that's kind of all of the attachment styles. Okay. So as therapists, we all blame our parents. That's my job. It's your parents. Yeah. So.
No, child psychology is big. I mean, I that was my major, psychology in college.
Okay.
I never finished and got master's or anything, but I always did some research after it. Mm-hmm. I did psychology to learn more about myself, not to learn about other people. I wanted to learn why I felt the way I felt, why I think the way I think, why I react, or why my emotions are reactive to what's going on around me. And when I learned that, I learned, like we brought up being a baby, child psychology is when I learned more about why, like, I am the way I am currently in life. So I got a question for you. Your graph that you have, where are all your dots for your mother, your father, your general, and your partner?
Oh, okay. All right, we're about to get real for a second. Mom and dad are both in fearful avoidant, and general and partner are in preoccupied attachment.
Okay.
So
what does that mean to you?
What does that mean to me?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though.
I'm about to get ready for the filth. I'm ready.
There's
ready
no
for it.
reading because this is, we're being vulnerable.
We're being honest. We're being honest.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the answer I'm going to give you, it may not be exactly what you want to hear, but that's why therapy is so important, especially like being careful with what we say, right? I can't just go based off of that graph to like instantly give you a full analysis breakdown of like who you are as a person, what you went through, things like that.
Yeah.
Because there is nuance in the world. A lot of things can be happening at the same time that aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, right? So from a very general standpoint, I would say, okay, maybe if like, say you were my client, I always start with the childhood. In the intake, tell me how you grew up, right? Keep it very open-ended and just kind of see where it lands. So if I just only saw the graph, I wasn't giving any real intake, just saw the graph, I'm like, okay, let's see what mom and dad was like, and I would start from there because therapy is more so like it's on the client, right? You get what you put in is what you get out. I'm just here as like a guide, but I don't ever give advice because that's not therapy, right? But that's how I would approach it. So I can't necessarily say, oh, based off of your graph, like I'm not, that's not how it works. But that's why, like I said, spaces like this is important so people have a more realistic understanding and expectation of what therapy is,
Okay. Do you have a general? If you were,
Oh, Jesus.
I just want to know generally. Well, I'll use mine. We'll use mine first. Okay, let's use mine.
No, you can use mine. I'm fine with that. I'm genuinely fine with it.
Okay, because I want to do both for us, just for a general,
Sure.
just to see what we both are.
Yeah, I got you.
So do you want to start first? Or, let's do mine. So my mother, I'll give you a microphone so you can see it. That makes it easier for you, so you can see where the graph is at. And I feel like that would, for a general, what she thinks.
Sorry, I thought I was about to sneeze.
So it seems like you probably have a very good relationship with your parents, probably able to talk to them about how you feel. There may be some times where maybe you want them to go a little bit deeper and they don't, or maybe you're expecting an answer but don't get it. Things like maybe that could be going on because I'm seeing that it's closer still to the avoidance and not so much to the anxiety side. So that's kind of like more so with dad though. Like you're super secure with dad. Looks like in a partnership, okay, but the thing is, I don't see mom on the graph unless you see, because it says mom is supposed to be the red score, but I don't see the red dot.
Yeah, I don't see it either. So.
Isn't she right there?
No, there's no red.
There's
dot.
no red dot.
It's like as if the red dot and the green. Oh, they're the same.
Are
point.
they in the same point?
Yeah, they're the same
point.
point.
Okay. Thank you for that. Oh, I see that. They have the exact same score.
Sense.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you for that. So it seems like you guys have a pretty decent relationship. Like and what it means by secure, it just means that I can go to you for things. I can trust that you're going to help me through that type of thing. I don't have so much like worry or like I'm like standoffish that they like no trust that they're able to be there for you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And it seems like with your partner, they're in that secure side as well, but still you see how it's like still closer to the avoidance on this scale. So maybe there's still kind of like some trust issues there possibly, but still secure, meaning that maybe you have like a quick bounce back. If maybe things don't go right in the relationship, whether it's not even just ending, but just like maybe you have an argument back and forth, you're not maybe stuck on it as much or able to like move on from it. Right. Okay. But like you said, with people in general, that is right in the dismissing attachment part. So it could be that we just really don't trust people until maybe we unlearn them a little bit more. Then we kind of like, okay, let me give you a little bit. Let's see what you do. Okay, I'll give you some more. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Okay, cool. I mean, generally, that's why I would say that my relationship with my parents are great. I think I have wonderful parents. Were there things in my life that I felt like they could have done better in? Oh, sorry. There are things that I felt like that my parents could have done better in.
Right.
For sure. There's definitely things in my head where I was like, I can see things visually where I'm like, I wish you were there for this. But overall, they gave me an available space for a lot of things. So
that's good.
And even I guess to a default, I'm a hopeless romantic. My mom told me always say hopeful romantic because we're not hopeless people. So a hopeful romantic. So I'm kind of Delulu. So
we're polar opposites on that.
Yeah, I'm Delulu. When I meet someone and I fall. I'm like, I believe in everything you say for the most part. Like, you really have to do something to make me be like, okay, now you're making me question things. Like, you've taken me out of Delulu land, and now I'm starting to think and see things. So now I'm starting to like pay attention. But yeah, as far as the general public, you know how I am.
I know how you are with people.
Yeah. I sit in the corner of the club.
I'm the social butterfly when it comes to people.
Yeah, I sit in the corner of the club. But yeah.
Do your thing, 21. Do your thing,
Do
bro.
your thing.
I'm with you, though, because when you started reading your bullet points and then now she's talking about it, I'm like, these are things that you've expressed to me, too.
Yeah.
Like behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put all your business out there, but it's things you've expressed to me behind closed doors, and it's kind of like, oh, it's adding up.
Yeah.
It's starting to add up. It's starting to line up. So I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It makes sense.
I'm gonna wait for her to do.
Do mine? Okay,
Yeah,
I'll give her mine.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This is gonna be fun.
Because we're just doing general. So
This is all general.
General, yeah. So
I always promote go to therapy, get a therapist. If you need help, slide in the DMs. I can help you. Find one.
Or DMs.
Okay, let's see. So I see green, which is dad, red, which is mom, are in the fearful attachment side of things, or avoidant attachment. It's a little, hitting the mic. Where it's sitting on the graph, it looks like it's more on the avoidance side, I guess, if that looks a little off. But what I'm seeing is there's maybe some animosity in there, maybe some like things that maybe we could work through. Again, it really just depends. But when I see partner and I see general, there's a little, okay, yeah, this makes sense. So with general and partner being in the preoccupied or anxious attached, right? And with parents being in the fearful avoidant, to me, it seems as though because of them, maybe we find it very hard to believe that people love us or care about us. Maybe we do little tests to see, or maybe we do even more, like we go above and beyond, because if we go above and beyond, surely they'll stay. Surely they won't leave me, because that's kind of like at the core of anxious attachment is the fear of abandonment.
Right.
And so once we start to feel that fear of abandonment, that's when we start to try to clamp on even harder, right? I want to smother you in my love because then you will never leave me. But then when they say they do leave, and it may not even be anything that you did personally to them, but we take it as such like, oh my God, they hate me.
Right.
Why? Oh my God, I'm awful. I'm terrible. I'm unlovable. You know, or even like it said in the bullet points that it's very hard to be alone or to be single. Maybe because we're taking it like we did something to cause our singleness. Not that, oh, maybe it's just not our time, or maybe you're just, have other things that we can be worried about. It's we take it as a personal hit to ourselves, to our, like, anything regarding ourselves, that we did something to cause that. And so when it comes to the anxious attachment, which, like I said, that's something that I experienced. Like, that's what my attachment style was it, again, it's the self-esteem, right? For me, I didn't feel like I was pretty, but my parents grew up, so, oh my God, you're so pretty, this and that. And it's like, sure. But for me, like, that was because I grew up in a town with all white people. So it was kind of hard being a darker skinned woman. And then it's like all these white people. So if I would have just been put somewhere where there's more of a mix or more black people, I probably wouldn't have had the same sort of feelings, right? So that's the thing. When I look at your graph, it could be that something regarding mom and dad was maybe like a lot. and give or take what that a lot means, is causing us to question if other people actually care about us.
Right.
And it's really hard for us to not internalize that when really it could just be, oh, well, we just weren't compatible, or maybe I was talking to somebody else and it has nothing to do with you, but you take it as, oh no, like it was me, you know? Sometimes anxious attached people can be a little self-absorbed in the sense that they think everything is because of them. So not in the sense of like when we typically hear of the word self-absorbed of like, oh my God, I'm so dramatic and I want all the attention. It's more in the sense of like, they did that because I did something, and it's like, no, it doesn't really have anything to do with you actually. But it's hard for us to like really grasp that. So that's kind of like what I'm getting when I see the graph. What do you think?
Sheesh. No, the partner one I do agree with. I do agree. I've had plenty of moments. We spoke about it
for sure.
Where I've done grand gestures or something to like, I get somebody to stay, get somebody to like me more, maybe thinking a little ahead. Like I'm thinking at step 10, we should be at 2 sometimes. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. The general one is the only one that kind of throws me off because Trey knows this. Like I'm a social butterfly. Like no matter what room I'm going in, I'm going to be the life of the party. But I do agree with what you said earlier when you kind of like threw it in there a little bit when you said, like you kind of give people tests to kind of see what's going on. I do that. Like it could be platonic, romantic. I'll give you like a little test to see like, okay, what's going on here? Let's see what's.
Well,
Trey calls it. What do you call it for me?
What do you mean?
Like when I give people a little test to see what's going on.
What do I say?
He calls it toxic.
Oh yeah, I do. I call it toxic. Yeah,
he calls it toxic. When I give people a little test, I'm like, I got to see what's up. So let me say this, because I know if I ask directly, you're going to give me a runaround answer.
I see.
Yeah. I always say this, be straightforward. Like, you know, at the end of the day, people are going to show themselves for who they are. They can't fake the funk for too long. And that's like part of like dating. When I go on dates or whatever, I ask very straightforward questions. And I feel like if you can't answer those questions straightforward and honestly, then we don't need to be together. If I ask you, like I said on the last episode on the pod, if I ask you, do you want kids? That don't mean I want kids with you right now. I'm just asking you, do we have the same like ideas of wanting kids? Yeah. And after a while, let's say they say, oh yeah, I do. But then a month later, you know, you're not seeing that like life and like I bring up kids again or whatever, and we can have a conversation about it. And you seem like a little off about it. It's gonna come up at one point. You see kids crying and you get a bad reaction to it. You don't got a passion to have kids or like, and I think people don't pay attention to those signs naturally in front of them when doing that. And that's not something like I'm necessarily like trying to pay attention to, but when you are getting to know someone, you should be paying attention to, you know, their actions or if their words match what they said the first time they said things. So I don't know. I just don't test people. I just let them say what they say, and then in the long run, I think they show themselves for what they are.
Hold on a second. Speaking of tests, Phil, did you take the quiz?
I did.
What'd you get?
It said I was perfect. That's what it said. It said my attachment style is disorganized.
Okay.
And it's 100% correct.
How do we feel about that?
I mean, it's right. Because it asked me about my relationship with my parents. And, you know, my dad's dead. So I have to go off my memory of him. And my relationship with my dad wasn't very great when I was younger. But as I became an adult, it got a lot better. So, and that was cut short, you know. With my mom, she's still around. But my relationship with my parents was not very great. I had a great life, but I had to get away. But I'm still reading. I'm kind of confused a little bit here, but it says, because I just entered my email and then it told me to do some other stuff. But yeah, it says I'm disorganized. Is that the main one? Because before I hit my email and stuff, it said fearful. And then /
fearful
disorganized.
avoidant is the same as it's the same one.
Okay.
It's just it's called a different thing depending on who's, you know, thing.
Okay, because my red dot from my mom, right, is under dismissing attachment. My green dot from my dad is under secure attachment. And my partner is the blue dot. That's under fearful avoidant. And then the general anxiety, it's just what's black. It's just right there at dismissing attachment.
Okay.
Oh, so you have like one in every.
Yeah, that's
square.
what it sounds like. So with your dad, it sounds like he validated how you felt for the most part.
As an adult, yes.
Okay. And then you said mom is in where?
Mom is red, so that's under dismissing attachment.
Okay, so maybe she didn't validate how you felt growing up.
No, I got gaslit into Christian stuff.
Oh, okay. See how we're peeling back the layers, and that's why nuance is important, because stuff like this is what gives us the kind of like way to start the conversation. And then when you go to therapy, for everybody who wants to go to therapy, you can have the space to really dig deeper and deeper, you know? Mm-hmm. And then you said general is where?
Hold on. Okay, so general is black. I'm colorblind. So general is the black dot, and that says fearful avoidant. And my wife is the blue dot, which is dismissing attachment.
Okay.
So the wife's with her mom.
With the mom. That's an interesting. That's kind of
I just thought about
interesting.
that, right?
Think
Yeah.
about that
That's
connection
that
right
Freud.
there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, brother.
You know, me and Sigmund Freud have the same birthday.
The same. Am I wrong?
Well, Freud is one of those, like, you know how you can be a broken clock can be right.
Yeah, yeah,
At least
yeah.
That's
Facts,
Freud.
facts,
Like he
yeah.
was saying something like, all right, yeah, you were right
Yeah.
about this, but it's like
He
not
was a
too-
little too.
he was a little too kooky.
Yeah, a little too kooky. Yeah.
So what does this mean? Does this mean I'm crazy? What's going on?
No,
What's-
no.
Tell me, Doc, tell me.
Man said, am I demented? Yo, I'm dead.
No, because even in the word crazy, like attachment styles again, right? It starts the conversation. It gets us to better understand each other, have compassion for each other, and maybe even kind of take ourselves out of it to kind of see what is this person like. Say we're having an argument, things are kind of going a little like, why is it going this way? Having that thought to be like, what did you actually hear me say to you? Like, why are we getting this reaction? Because what I said, I don't think it warrants this type of reaction.
Right.
And maybe because I already know kind of what your attachment style is, that's where it's that, okay, I know you're maybe more of an anxious attachment person. They're upset about something. Maybe they need just some extra reassurance. Maybe they just need to hear like, hey, like I know we're kind of upset with each other, but I love you. We're good. We're going to get through this. You want to go get something to eat, whatever it is, you know, that's what I mean by that, like being able to see already what you want to do for them to help bring them down. Right. And you can do that with any of the attachment styles, right? Because at the core of it, it really is what is that kind of internal wound that you have, and knowing that what the triggers are that hit that cause us to feel that pain or cause us to have this like big or even like big reaction or maybe like no reaction at all, you know?
I had a question. Are there like attachments that don't do well with each other? For instance, if I'm looking at mine and it says that it says in general, it says that I'm dismissive of someone's emotions. Mm-hmm. Does that not do well with a dismissive?
Or with like an avoidant, or
Avoidant,
sorry,
yeah.
an anxious
Okay,
attachment.
okay,
Yeah,
I see
so
what you mean, I see what you mean.
Because we
I
have
see
both
what you're
different
saying.
attachments and attachments and everything, and if that conflicts, I can never. Well, I could if I would no.
Yeah.
But as far as being general, you can't meet that person with a.
if you're
needed.
unwilling to unwilling to take the time to learn that person and to work through it, then it's not going to work.
Exactly.
Because compatibility is important, and you'll go on social media and you'll see 1,001 videos about what it's like for an attached person or an anxious attached person to be with the dismissive person, and it's like we all walk around having different attachment styles, but what people also don't know, you can have a blend of some, or like say like my relationship with you could be secure, but my relationship with him could be avoidant in some way.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like the nuances it can be a lot.
Okay.
So it really is like at the core of it, do you like this person enough to like actually do the things to validate them, be there for what they needed, those things. If you're not, then there's going to be some issues, right? Because then you guys aren't going to be speaking the same language, essentially.
Right.
Got you.
So even with that, like, speaking the same language, what would you say to somebody maybe, I forgot my question. I had a great question.
You did?
I had an amazing. Oh, wait. Basically, what would
There
you
we
say
go.
to somebody who is like, I'm ready to date, but my attachment style and how I'm living right now is like not working for me? What would you tell them to work on themselves to get ready to date appropriately and responsibly?
Yeah. I would ask them if they are actually emotionally available, because a lot of people might think they're ready to be with someone for many different reasons, but they may not be ready to actually receive any of that. And that can mean anything, right? In terms of like people actually showing up, and it's like, how do you react when people actually do the things that they say they're going to do? Like, are we going to be okay with that? Are we going to kind of recoil a little bit, you know? And so it's one of those things where if you're wanting to really put yourself out there, you have to be okay with the fact that if something doesn't work out, it's not your fault. Unless you obviously do something toxic or intentional. Right. But as long as you go in it with being open and honest and knowing that these are people that you don't own and that it's just an experience in itself. And if it works, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You don't have to hate that person, or, you know, it doesn't have to be this super toxic thing. It could be like, hey, like it just didn't work out, and that's okay. And I hope you have a great life, and vice versa. So it's really about just really honoring who you are. And also, too, like knowing what you deserve, and not let people play in your face, you know, because if things if you have to question certain things, if things become confusing, then we need to figure out what's going on. If you're not getting that clarity that you need, then it's time to move on. This is not your person. You know, the person that's for you will be very like intentional. Yeah. They're going to make the effort to show up for you and be there for you, and also validate who you are and vice versa. So that's what I would tell them.
I want Deja on again.
Yeah.
I really bring her on again.
Yeah. We can do
a part 2 of this episode.
Yeah, do a part 2. I got a question. Is there like so we did individual tests for ourselves. Are there couple
or even family tests?
Or a couple tests that you could take so that you can, so like for instance, if I want to take a test with Jay to see where our avoidant or attachment like style is at, to say like, because you know you just brought up you could be secure with me or being avoidant with him. So are there tests like that out there where you can do that?
Well, I think on the website that we all three use, I think it lets you choose if you're a single person, if you're in a relationship. So maybe that might change the questions. Okay. I'm not sure. I haven't done that part of it. If it's something, honestly, what I would do is, if you know what your attachment style is and you know what your friend's attachment style is, just like how you guys read through the bullet points, kind of keep that in mind. So like maybe if there's something going on where you notice something is a little off, right? Then it's like, okay, let me think. This is his attachment style. What is really happening maybe in the moment? And what might they need to like be better, like feel better about this, or feel more like understood and things like that. Right. But also too, like being, again, open and honest with how you feel. And also knowing that since I know what my attachment style is, maybe like, oh, maybe I'm tripping a little bit. Like maybe I'm like reading in too deep into stuff. Yeah, and that's okay to be the problem and admitting that.
Why you do that? No, because I have a question.
Yes.
But to wrap up the episode, but like I have a question that like is kind of a catch-22 in that.
Okay.
So, you know, like you said, you could be the problem. What if the situation is more or less that person, and this is the reason why I say to people like, yo, if you do log on to attachmentproject.com and do one of these tests, please answer truthfully and honestly. What if someone has like that manipulative trait and they're just doing the test a certain way to get a certain style, and then it still doesn't work out? You see what I'm saying?
So just want to better understand your question. So you're asking if somebody takes the test and they're not being honest, but they're they're taking the test in hopes that it's going to get a specific score so they can use to like get something, like to gain something.
Right,
exactly. To get a person, like
okay. Well, it's like, oh look, we match. You know what I'm saying?
But like, unfortunately, people lie, right? And even like in therapy, people lie in therapy all the time. Now we are trained to kind of know when that's happening because our job is to point out inconsistencies, you know, safely and like calmly, right? We're also trained to be able to, you know, okay, well, I remember in this session you said this, but now you're saying this. It doesn't make sense. It's not clash. Like, help me better understand what you mean, right? What changed? And so if people are lying, there's really not anything that we can do. And that's why we don't take it personally. We do kind of always have that in mind that is a possibility, but it's not so much where we completely take ourselves out of the game in fear of that.
Gotcha.
Right?
I got one more. Go ahead. One, what did you get on yours? And two, how did you get to the point where, what were the steps that you took to get to security attachments?
Let's see.
So we know how we can
improve ourselves.
This
is great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
This is why we only have black women as guests, by the way, guys.
Yeah, I was saying, I can't bring no niggas.
We
on
only have black women as guests. This is exactly the reason why.
I will be honest. When you sent me the message, like we only interview women, I was like, okay.
Also, to be
mad.
honest, if we're gonna be honest with this day and age that's going on, black women are the most educated out of any demographic and gender. Let's just call it.
But not only that, it's that I've noticed on social media, you can't have no conversation with niggas about nothing, bro.
Oh no.
And
if we had a dude here, he'd be like, yo, how can I finesse this test to get some pussy? I already know there've been some dumbass comments.
Or it's where we're simps, we're this, we're that. It's just hard to have those conversations, and you know, there's enough of that online where we can create a space where it's male dominated, but women come in and take over.
Like
space.
this is a prime example. Like she led the conversation the whole episode.
So it's all good.
This was her episode, not ours. Yeah. She's on the couch by herself too.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate that. So let me get into mine. Yeah. So for me, both my mom and my dad are in the secure attachment.
Okay.
But they're a little closer to the avoidance, which makes a little bit sense. I like to keep things real tight. Like, I don't really like to share too much. Okay. I have my people that I go to for certain things, but that's just me. Okay. Right? And then for general and for a partner, they're in the anxious side. Because for me, I'm like, but I also have anxiety. So I've been diagnosed with anxiety. And I also have ADHD. So that also is why I'm a little bit more in the anxious side, because people who have ADHD and people who have anxiety disorder tend to have a rejection sensitivity. Mm-hmm. So like I was saying earlier about when we are rejected or if things don't go our way, we take it so like harshly. Like we think we are just like something is up and we need to fix it. When really it's like, no, it's just gonna work out and that's okay. Yeah. So for me, kind of how I've been able to slide more to the secure side, one, I went to therapy and it was beautiful and I still do it from time to time, right? And a lot of the work I did in therapy was just letting go of a lot of the anger, hurt, disappointment, things like that. Not forget, right? But I was able to create space for happiness and sadness, like all the other emotions to come in because you need all of them. Right. And it also helped me just to be more open and honest because where I had issues in was I didn't think how I felt like was right. I thought I was just always like, no, like you're doing too much. When really like, no, like I have to tell people how I feel. And based off of their reaction, that's how I know how to move. And so the more trust I built in myself, the better it was for me. And that's why even now, like, I feel like I am at the, like mentally just such a good place because I have so much trust in myself, confidence in myself. And even as a Black woman, some people will hear that and be like, oh, she's arrogant. She's full of herself. Am I arrogant? Am I full of myself? No, I think I'm a very humble woman, but I'm also live in reality, and I know I have 2 degrees, and I know what I do for a living. I know people pay me.
Talk that shit. Talk that shit.
Respectfully.
Talk that
help
shit.
them through their hardest times because I actually specialize in trauma. So that's something where you have to hold a lot of space and patience because people tell me when I tell you the hardest things in life, like, and I have to be able to hear it, receive it with a very neutral face and also validate their experience and how they feel.
Sheesh. I'll let you go first.
No, I'm good. That was my question. She answered it beautifully. That was it. That was the last question I had.
I got one.
Yes. Go ahead, Phil.
Do people actually change?
Yes. People change. I have such love and trust for people, but you have to want to change. You have to be aware that you could make some changes. There's always room for growth and development. But you have to, like, awareness, right? If you don't think you can change.
You know how I feel about people. Like, I think people are stupid. I think a person is smart. But I think people
as a whole,
like the group, like a group is a collective group.
The species.
But I think that could be a good thing for a different show because you have to think about the history of what our people went through. And why there is that, because it's the lack of education, the ignorance. But that's what the system that's what they make money off of is us not understanding and creating chaos amongst each other.
Talked about that with Javi.
Yep, literally just spoke about that. Like 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, we talked about that with Javi.
Just spoke about that. Yeah. But anyways, before we sign off, Phil, you got anything else you want to say?
This was a amazing episode. Go to therapy, guys.
Facts.
I recently had to go to that therapy. Because I think I told you, Jay, I felt overwhelmed.
Yeah, and we spoke about it on the pod.
Yeah, like I distance myself, and I overwork myself when I get depressed. So, but yeah, I think it's amazing, and I think more people need to do it. Everybody needs to do it, even if they don't think anything's wrong with them. Go.
Yeah, just go.
But fantastic episode. You're a fantastic guest, Deja.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's awesome.
Anything you want to say?
No, bro. I mean, he hit on the nail. Go to therapy. I think this was, bro. That's that fire. Yeah, they ain't doing this on other pods. Man. They ain't doing this.
They
ain't doing this. Like and subscribe, y'all. Come on, we trying to give you that fire.
I'm smiling right now because this is really a good episode, bro. Like I'm really not surprised by any stretch of imagination, because when he was telling me, I was like, this is going to go one of two ways. This is going to go one of two ways, and it went the way I was hoping.
But it was
for.
very safe. It was very calm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's kinda, I would say this.
I was happy it wasn't like I know your personality, I know my personality. I was like, this is not going to be combative, but just in case, that's hoping for the best, expect the worst.
But I was happy, like, based off, like, the things that she said and reading, I feel like I can be a better friend to you.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. Because now that I know that how I, like, because sometimes I do come off very, like, nonchalant, don't give a fuck.
I don't?
No, but what I'm saying is sometimes when you're talking, like, you'll call me
randomly
on the phone,
when we're talking,
bro. And sometimes I'll just be in my own word, and I do not feel like being on the phone.
Yeah.
But you call me, you're calling me because you want to talk to me, you got stuff to get off, and I need to be available. I need to be open and available for that.
So you're going to do that more often?
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Or you can also, too, communicate that you may need some space.
But a lot of times, like, there's a lot of times where I'm not doing shit. I'll just be.
He just don't want to answer the phone. He just be looking at that shit.
I'll be on my phone, like, I'll be in the middle,
Just
like
watching it ring.
Just watching it ring.
Or I'll be like in my car, like vibing to some music or whatever, and then it'll say, "Jay's calling your phone." I'm like,
Nah.
but I'm listening to "Raining in Houston" by Drake right now. I answer it.
It's always the light skinned nigga he's listening to. Anyways, anything you want to say, Deja, before we sign off?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for this space. It was so great. I would love to come back. Just, hit me up.
For sure.
Again, everybody go to therapy. If you need assistance with finding a therapist, a couple of ways that you can go about it, right? Mm-hmm. You can go on psychologytoday.com, and hopefully they'll sponsor this. And it's basically like a database, right? Where you can kind of plug in certain things like, okay, I have this insurance and I want to work on anxiety and I live in this area. And it generates a list of people who fit that description, right? So nice. My page is also on Psychology Today. I can be found on that. Also, if that's a little bit too much, DMs are open, right? I can assist you, kind of like tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, and I can kind of help guide you, because with being a therapist, I am plugged to a lot of Black.
Do you do couples?
People. Do I? Absolutely not. That is,
He wanted that couple.
He wanted that couple too. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking.
I am so sorry. Couples therapy is a beast. Anybody that does it, they are incredible, because if you get the right person, the theory that they use or the type of therapy that they use is very structured. It's very good, but I do not have that type of patience or attention span. I need the one person that I can focus in on. I personally love trauma. Like, that is my wheelhouse.
Dang. There's that lady who's on TikTok who posts this, like, I think it's a Hispanic lady. Mm-hmm. And I watch, like, her videos. It'll be like the husband and wife, and she's just sitting here like this. And she'll stop someone when they're talking, like, hey, did you hear what that person said? It's really the most. If I could figure out who it is,
it's shot like a TV show? It's clips of a TV show.
It looks like how she shoots it is like a TV show. It looks very clean. I don't know if she's white or Hispanic.
Okay.
But she'll have this. She has like this long couch, and she sits two people there, and like the way that she like really listens and gets in depth to their conversations, it's really like.
You got to look at that. You got to look up that. But, ladies and gentlemen, before we sign off on the Fupas and Flapjacks podcast, just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, retweet, repost, whatever the case is. We do appreciate every form of engagement. We're trying little by little to change the topics and change the space that we are building here. As you guys know, we market ourselves as an anti-red pill podcast. This episode is a prime example of it, if you don't believe us. But anyways, on behalf of myself, on behalf of
your boy Trey,
on behalf of
Deja,
on behalf of the podcast doctor, on behalf of the podcast doctor,
yeah.
I was expecting to sound like
I have a Fupa.
That's what I was expecting. Thank you, Trey.
That's only in the beginning.
This has been another episode of Fupas and Flapjacks Podcast here on the Jay Derosier Media Network. You guys have a great week. We're signing off. See you guys next week.